Well, today marks the 100 days until the election, and it is going to be a barn burner for sure, with both chambers up for grabs, and Democrats and Republicans both fighting it out like their futures depend upon it. And nowhere is that going on more intensely than out in the state of Michigan, where Abdul Sayed is running for the nomination to be the Democrat nominee. And he is vowing that if he gets into the Senate, he's going to remove Chuck Schumer. Watch.
If I have anything to do about it, the next Senate Majority Leader, Chris Van Hollen. And the intellectual spark plug of the U.S. Senate, Elizabeth Warren. If you're Chuck Schumer, I'm pretty damn dangerous.
And so El Sayed is not alone. There are probably several other Democrats willing to be real spoilers in the United States Senate, which is particularly important because if it comes down to being a close chamber, they can cause real problems for Chuck Schumer.
That's right. Look, this midterms is likely to be a barn burner cycle because of the narrow, razor-thin margins in both the Senate and the House that the Republicans have. In the Senate, Republicans have a 53-47 majority, but yet you see on Fox News Power Rankings that 4 states, including Michigan, one of them, 4 states have been moved to a toss-up. Now, if the Democrats were able to run the table and win all 4 of those states, we're looking at a very different sort of majority.
And if Republicans can even if they just hold on to a tie, that means the Republicans get to control the chamber because they can send in Vice President Vance, who is the president of the Senate, in to break all ties.
That's a great point. Now, let's go to the House, because the House also razor thin. Remember, currently there is 218 Republicans, 212 Democrats. There are 4 vacancies. 1 is an independent. Razor thin, but you see, and I just gave it to you, it's 218, 212 right now. 16 races, according to Fox News Power Rankings, are in the toss-up category. That's the path that Democrats want to try and run a table to get to a majority.
And remember, this is a second midterm for President Trump in a highly electoral environment where Republicans should get absolutely wiped out. The fact that we're even talking about a possibility that Republicans could hold on to the House in this election cycle is pretty extraordinary.
Let's go back to the Senate for a second and show you exactly which races. We mentioned Michigan, but also the toss-ups that our Fox Power Rankings say is Alaska, Iowa, Maine, who just got a new candidate after Graham Plattner's gone. Now you got Troy Jackson. And Ohio, you see in the blue, these are lean Democrat states. That's where Michigan comes in. And then lean right is Texas.
And, of course, Maine, a couple of weeks ago, was over here in the lean Democrat column because Democrats believe that Susan Collins is so vulnerable. She's in the one state where Kamala Harris, where Republicans have a candidate up this cycle that Kamala Harris won. But, of course, they have so thoroughly screwed themselves in Maine that is now in the toss-up category.
Now, let's show you finally the House races that we're watching. This is very fascinating because in some states, like North Carolina, you actually have 2 races moved to toss-up. Even in Pennsylvania, that traditional battleground state, Charlie, 3 House races are in the toss-up. This is how it breaks down. And, of course, in some of these races, you are seeing the Democrat Party trying to sort out whether they're going to go full Democratic Socialist, far left, or whether moderate candidates will win and face the Republican candidate.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about how difficult the House has been for Speaker Johnson the last couple of years because of the narrow majority. Whoever wins, if Democrats win, they're going to be wrestling with the exact same narrow majority that makes it nearly impossible to govern, especially if you have this growing wing of Democrat socialists on the Democrat side and you're the Democrat majority leader, and you're trying to keep things straight there.
And you're seeing, Charlie, they're feeling their oats, the far left, socialist, progressive, because not only do you have, as we just showed, Abdul al-Sayed talking about replacing Chuck Schumer, but remember here in New York City where Claire Valdez, a socialist, far left progressive that won her primary, she at her election victory party was talking, they were chanting, you're next for Hakeem Jeffries. So both Schumer and Jeffries are looking at real threats.
Yeah, and meanwhile, in the Wall Street Journal, there's a very interesting op-ed written by Rahm Emanuel. If you recall, he worked with Barack Obama and sort of is a representative of the establishment. And he's worried about what he calls the Bernie bros. Here's what he says. Ultimately, this is about policy. It was socialists who led the charge to defund the police, open the borders, abolish prisons, release violent criminals onto the streets, and degrade the flag. We know those are electoral losers. In 2020, after protesters chanted to defund the police, Joe Biden was swept into office without coattails. After Mr. Biden instituted an open border policy, we lost control of the House in 2022 and the White House and Senate in 2024. To win in the places where it matters, Democrats need to emphasize the common ground they have with the majority of the electorate. So this, of course, is Rahm Emanuel and many in the establishment saying, hey, let's be careful with the far left. The problem they have is that we rightfully call the far left, and even many who claim they're not the far left, socialists, communists, and they're out and proud and all of that. But they do represent sort of the populist wing of the party. So if you're a Democrat, al-Sayed and many of these other leftists, they're not, if you're that voter, they're not socialist to you. They represent, in many ways, populism. In the same way that Republicans wanted a populist candidate. So like in Michigan, it's a great example where you have this Abdul al-Sayed guy, and he's the outside candidate versus, even though he's endorsed by Elizabeth Warren, he still presents as an outside candidate next to the other woman who's running, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, who's been endorsed by Governor Whitmer. So that's the debate that they're having. It's establishment versus outsider, and populism versus establishment.
And it's so true. And of course, the problem for them is that when Republicans did that and wound up with Donald Trump,
right,
you had Donald Trump dragging the Republican Party back towards common sense issues, back towards the center, back towards the Constitution. These wackadoodles are dragging the Democrat Party off the cliff over towards socialism and lots of other crazy stuff that is completely un-American. And so, we don't know how it's all going to end, but we're here for it.
Do you actually believe in your heart that Rahm Emanuel was against open borders? I mean, it's so crazy. Yeah. But this is what now they are, to their credit, learning the lessons in the establishment wing of their party, and they're going, let's pretend like we didn't want all these things.
Yeah, maybe
that it was their fault.
Maybe a little late. Maybe they should have stood up to this stuff in their party a long time ago, but I'm afraid that it's probably a little too late now.
We'll see where it goes.
All right, tension.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.